On Thursday, February 26th, Netflix left a love triangle with Paramount and Warner Brothers, meaning that Paramount Skydance, a company worth $12 billion, can purchase Warner Brothers Discovery in a deal worth $110 billion and partially funded by Saudi Arabia. On Saturday, February 28th, the United States and Israeli governments launched missiles at Iran, targeting the current regime, killing the supreme leader, and prompting a response from Iran towards military bases in surrounding countries. But on Friday, February 27th, the Miami University Board approved the demolition of Cook Field for a new and improved Millett Hall, the worst of them all. Let's see what else is in this story.
I don't like it.
I mean, I definitely think that's a big chunk of money.
I think a new arena or facility will be nice.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. It sucks to see like a large green area get taken up.
I think it'll be good for the other students.
I think it's a misuse of like resources and funding.
I don't know. I don't think it's a very well-informed decision.
You know, build our reputation maybe as like a basketball school.
And I feel like it takes something away from like the incoming class.
I think it will be nice to have like a large athletic facility.
Go back with me to October 2024, a simpler time. The funniest number between 60 and 70 was 69. Kamala Harris had a chance at becoming the first female president, and here in Oxford, Miami Thrive, a celebration of the university's future, was taking place. This is where a new multipurpose arena was first mentioned, with the goal of enhancing student experience, creating economic opportunities for Oxford, and growing enrollment. We also first learned here that multiple outside firms decided that Cook Field would be the best spot, though only the northwest corner, and not even for an arena, but a hotel. Interestingly, the university also said, and take notes here, the university's current arena, Millett Hall, opened in 1968 and would require more than $80 million in renovations in the near term. $80 million, write that number down on your hand, on your paper, whatever, but remember it. In December of 2024, a couple months later, Miami went all in on creating this arena. It would be a place of magic for concerts and career fairs alike, and walking distance to everyone. A committee is established, the Department of Planning, Architecture, and Engineering is called in, and numerous sites on campus are considered. Miami reiterates that it will prioritize those projects that benefit students and the community and strengthen the local economy of its campuses. And the university's current arena, Millett Hall, opened in 1968 and would require more than $80 million for renovation in the near term. Our professors are worried about ChatGPT when our very own college press releases are built off of Control-C and Control-V. A month later, January, spring semester is in full swing. The search is narrowed down to two sites, Cook Field and Southwest Quad. The Cook Field site would now require that the intramural fields be permanently moved and set the stage for future projects. The Southwest Quad site would require the demolition of Williams Hall, Wells Hall, and Joyner House, and all of those are still happening, by the way, later this year. But if either of those locations get chosen, the university is confident that impacts to the intramural spaces and parking will be minimal in the long run. And Miami wants to make you, the student, feel included. So it shares a survey asking for feedback from the public, simply asking for thoughts on the Cook Field and Southwest Quad locations. And fun fact, that survey is still up and running right now, over a year later. So scan this QR code and hit Miami University where it hurts, their Google Drive storage. Let's take a brief pause now from the history lesson to look at the results of this survey. Thanks to our friends at the Miami Student, we know that it only achieved 1,500 responses. Of those 1,500, about 40% said that Southwest Quad was a better site, and less than 20% said that the arena should be constructed on Cook Field. 600 people. That's out of over 18,000 enrolled students at the time, plus university employees and the network of alumni, and not even 600 people supported the demolition of Cook Field on that survey. Now that we've covered that the survey was the equivalent of going on a second date with the guy because you just feel so very bad for him, we can move a few weeks to February 2025. The survey results are announced and the official recommendation for Cook Field is given to President Crawford himself. 2 weeks later, the Board of Trustees officially approved the site for a multipurpose arena with the goal of supporting student athletes and generating more revenue. The total cost is, quote, expected not to exceed $187.7 million, as well as the $13 million for new intramural space, whatever that may look like. Now, take those notes out from earlier, because here is the real kicker. This time around, the press release writes, and again, I quote, it would cost at least $130 million to repair Millett Hall and add practice facilities. An additional investment would be needed to make renovations, bring it up to current code, and add amenities expected in modern facilities. So, if you're at least in preschool, you can do that basic math and recognize that $130 million is more than $80 million. In the span of less than 6 months, over $50 million worth of damages has happened to Millett Hall. I think we should all take a moment of silence here for the tremendous period of pain that that building has gone through. Now, we can finally get to this year. At the end of last month, on Friday, February 27th, 2026, the full arena was approved by the Board of Trustees. The board noted that the expected price tag is $242 million, nearly 30% more than that previous quote of $187.7 million, and they also get another $39 million to play around with for kicks and giggles. Why not? And better yet, now it would take at least $175 million to renovate Millett Hall. Over $45 million worth of damages was done in a single year. We might be living on the most destructive college campus in the entire Midwest, and you wouldn't know it. The deer really are an issue here. The release says all the same things as before. Improved traffic flow, support for restaurants or a hotel, student-centered projects. We also get an official timeline. The new intramural facilities are expected to be built over the summer to open in September 2026, which is when Cook Field officially shuts down. Now that we're caught up to the present, let's hear from two of the students leading the vocal charge against the development of the multipurpose arena. For that, we turn to our own Sydney Pinchuk.
Thank you, Boston. I'm here with Anna West and Bree Fitzgerald, undergraduate research leaders for the Independent Student Survey. They've presented results to the University Senate, Oxford City Council, and of course, the Board of Trustees. Anna, Bree, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
So first, tell me a little bit about how you both got involved in this process.
I've always just loved being involved at the university as a whole, but always struggled to do so through my major and not having the time for it normally for huge projects. But I was in a research methods class this past semester, and our professor mentioned the possibility to do a survey about a possible arena district on Cook Field in the near future. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds really cool, a way to actually use my skills I'm learning in that class in real life. And then meeting with everyone else who was interested, I realized I actually had a lot more free time than I thought, and volunteered to become one of the undergrad leaders for this project and really get involved.
Yeah, similarly, I was in a class with one of the faculty leaders for the survey, and he approached the whole class about it, asked for volunteers, and after meeting with him, it was really clear that it was something I wanted to put my time into, and I had some time open up over the semester, so I really was happy to commit and be an undergrad leader. We both took a leadership role very early on. With a team the size that we had, it was really important that ourselves and Ava, our other undergraduate leader, were just very in sync. We had plans weeks out, we had meetings scheduled, but then we also worked individually with smaller groups. So we were making sure that, research was completed, all of our plans to put up posters were done. We had to make sure that posters were designed and approved. Bree worked extensively with the IRB and making sure that the survey was approved so we could put it out. And then we were also frequently meeting with the faculty leaders to make sure that they were all in the loop with everything, and also obviously design and implement the survey.
Yeah. To add on to what Anna said, it was a lot of collaboration with alumni, students, staff, and faculty. We had a group of over 25 people really working hard on this. So we really helped those smaller groups work together well, whereas Anna was really good with the people that were helping out on the front line, coordinating, putting up flyers and communications and things like that, while behind the scenes, I was working more with the IRB focused people and getting our website up and running. So we all worked together, but we all also were good at our own little things.
Mm-hmm. Anna, you were in attendance at the Board of Trustees meeting where this project was officially approved. Can you describe that experience, what your purpose in being there was, and how the board decided to approve the project?
Yeah, absolutely. So initially when we processed our final report, we hope to present it to the Board of Trustees at their meeting or at a previous time. And unfortunately, they weren't able to have us. So by being there, I was able to speak in the public comments just a little bit about the survey. We had provided them a copy of our final report, so I was also there to take any questions. After public comments, they obviously decided later in the day. And I think it was a little bit disappointing, not just for myself, but for all of the people who took the survey and chose and said that they weren't happy with the decision. But I think that we can move forward because the survey was such a great way to connect with the community and make sure that they, were able to get out their ideas and opinions. So I think it was a really good way to build a community and could be a fantastic way for University Senate or the university in general to address new developments in the university in the future.
Can you talk about the results of that student-led survey?
We had a total of 3,347 people complete the entire survey, with a mix of students, staff, faculty, alumni, parents of current students, and so many other, business owners in Oxford, just residents of Oxford, and I could go on and on. We had a nice, diverse group of people fill out the survey. And it was very clear from the beginning, the majority of the people felt the same way about the university as a whole, what their values were about Miami, with being at education and being known for its higher status and the aesthetics of campus and things like that, whereas athletics was not high up on the list of values at Miami.
We saw that there was such unity in the respondents across the board. So while you might think that alumni favored having an arena on Cookfield more, it was actually very, very consistent across all of the categories for all responses. I also think that it was quite shocking looking at the data after it was all collected, because I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. And I also don't think that a lot of the faculty had seen something like that before, especially since we are such a diverse community in so many other ways.
One of the goals of putting an arena on Cookfield, the board thought it would bring in donors to the Miami community as a whole. And through our survey, it was over 80% of people said they would not donate or would donate less should that project take place. And that really stood out, as a lot of funding for the university comes through alumni donations and donations through companies, et cetera. So to see that this survey shows the exact opposite of what the board was hoping for through the project really stood out, especially from the diverse group of respondents.
This project has been described by university administrators as student-centered and crucial to the university's future. Do you agree or disagree with the administration about this, and why?
Well, what I think of when I hear student-centered is I envision the university listening to the communities of thoughts and opinions, regardless of if they're in alliance with or against what the board wants to hear, especially when led by a group of students, whether that be our project or any other project for that matter. Student-centered should be what the students want and need, and so they should be heard. So it was a little off-putting that they really think this project is student-centered when it was really hard for us to share the results of this survey with them.
One of the biggest controversies with this project was the large jump in estimated costs, going from $188 million to up to $281 million. How did this affect student opinions and how you argued your perspective?
Through our survey, we listened to a lot of people just talk with us, especially when it came to costs, as that was a talking point that really caught people's attention. And most of the time, people would bring up like, oh, this building hasn't been renovated yet, or some dorms have nicknames like Musty Morris, like why don't we send funding towards that? Or McGuffey's roof just collapsed partially, like can we send funds to that, is a lot of what was told to us through our survey. So there's a lot of like community concerns of like where funding is allocated, across campus, whereas I know arenas are expensive and so do other people, but many people question whether or not that should be the priority right now.
Yeah, I'd also say that the arena is the second most expensive in the NCAA. History, yeah. So even to like larger schools, more sports-oriented schools. So I think when you're looking at it in terms of, hey, what are Miami's priorities? I don't think the priorities that the administration has chosen necessarily aligns with the values and identity that the people and community of Miami see fit for it.
Do you think that in any capacity the university is listening to what you and other students have to say and taking that into consideration?
Well, we haven't had a chance to talk with them as we were not able to find a time where they had time to listen to us present our results. I feel, especially at the beginning, they wanted to know the community's opinions. They started with their own survey to kind of gain thoughts and opinions on it. However, the results were not published accessibly, so it was like really hard for the community to like follow up on where they were going with that, kind of leading to that sense of uncertainty, like do they want to know? So being able to listen to Anna speak at the Board of Trustees meeting was a step in the right direction of them at least hearing part of it. And like she said, we did hand deliver them physical copies of our report for them to have the opportunity or not. But I'm uncertain of how much they actually did.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that they couldn't find any time in their day to listen to us. So many other groups within the community have invited us out and supported the work that we've been doing. And it's hard to see the administration kind of look at the survey and maybe not find anything worth listening to, especially when it's their own students.
Coming from the perspective opposing the university's decision, do you think that there might be any benefits to this project?
Absolutely. I think when you're against something, it's always important to look at benefits as well, especially since the project is going through. I think that a new arena is going to be more accessible to handicapped users, and it's also going to bring more events into the university. A new arena is definitely necessary from my point of view, or at least a renovation. So I'm excited for that part.
I'm not opposed to the idea of the arena as a whole. However, the community has made it very clear they love Cook Field. Some people, like the administration, thinks it's just the patch of green grass where it has so many more uses, and the community has made that very clear. But I do think that even though I'm not fond of the location of the new arena, that it is a potential moneymaker for the university, even if we start in debt building it. But it could bring in more people from all around, even outside of Ohio. So it could lead to good publicity overall. So yes, there's many possible upsides to it.
Why is it important for students to argue for situations at their universities that they're passionate about, even when it seems that the administration will not take student voices seriously?
I think in any space, but especially college campuses, it's important to stand up for what you believe in, and especially when you have such a united force and a united group with a strong opinion on something, stepping up and making sure that your voice is heard is super important. I think the purpose of the survey was to collect those voices and project them. And I think, it's something that we did, and we're very, very happy and very proud that we could do that.
Yeah. All it takes is one person to create the ripple effect. Our small group of 25 people starting this project gave the opportunity for over 3,000 people and more, now with the spread of social media, to share their thoughts and opinions that might not have been heard about this should us 25 not have started it and spoke up. So it's always important for students to share their things, as almost always they're not alone in that.
Bree, Anna, thank you so much for being here today. Now we're going to send it back to Boston to take a look at the funding for this project.
Thank you again to Bree and Anna for joining us to give us a student perspective on the issue. Now, let's talk about funding, the big issue. The good news is that Miami has sworn since the beginning that none of this project will factor into tuition. Current rates will not increase, and future student tuition will not grow as a result of this. Instead, the arena will be paid for by taking on debt from investors, cashing in on investment earnings, and paying off other debts to then use that money for the arena. And you might say to yourself, hey, what are these debts? Who are these investors? Is it Miami University, as a public institution, required by law to publish financial statements? And yes, it is. Except that our financial office's website is broken and either redirects you in a circle or to nearly empty pages, so I couldn't find anything on this. But a large part of this funding is coming from the university's fundraising campaign, For Love, for Honor, for Those Who Will. This campaign, announced in 2022, aims to raise $1 billion by July 2027 in 4 key areas: scholarships, business and entrepreneurship, clinical health services, and digital innovation and technology. The new arena is being presented as a marquee project for the campaign, which as of this month has raised $825 million. If this campaign reaches that $1 billion goal by next summer, which it's not on track to, but anyways, if it reaches that goal, a considerable amount will be used for the arena. We don't know exactly how much yet. The campaign is funded by alumni, many of whom, going back to that survey, many of whom do not support the demolition of Cook Field for the arena. And which of those pillars does a new Millett fit into? Business and entrepreneurship, digital innovation technology, or just giving more sports-related scholarships? We don't know. And obviously, there are still many questions that we as ordinary students do not have the answers to. And it feels like every answer that we do get paints an even bleaker picture. Miami University and the people in charge of it are going to move forward this project, with or without student support. That wouldn't change if the arena was built in Cook Field, in Southwest Quad, or in some cornfields between here and Indiana. But what can change is how we as students respond. We have less than 6 months before Cook Field gets demolished, but the weather is only getting nicer. Mostly, it's snowing outside as we're filming this, but whatever. We have a graduating class that may be walking away with a diploma in one hand and a chunk of turf in the other, but it's some nice enough turf. We have incoming first years who got Cook Field advertised to them and yet will barely get a chance to enjoy it themselves, but there will be new intramural fields. I'm not saying to do nothing or pretend you fully support everything the university does. You don't have to do that. But I am saying enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy the late night softball games and the early morning ROTC training, the sunbathing and the snowball fighting, the flying frisbees and the shortcuts, all of it. But don't forget that there are plenty of ways and opportunities for students to take action when they disagree with choices made by university administration. From all of us here at Red Hawk TV, have a good night.